Hello, dear children. Namaste, and welcome to yet another session of our terminology series. This is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on this super duper amazing platform, which is Vedantu 9th and 10th English. Well, guys, so let's move ahead. I think we are left with just one more chapter, right, for CBSE class 10. Our environment, and that's exactly what we are going to be doing today. So this chapter, I must tell you, starting off before we jump right in, that compared to life processes, how do organisms reproduce and heredity and evolution, our environment is a chapter that's got minimal terms, minimum number of terms to be remembered as compared to the previous chapters, right, guys? So keeping that in mind, even then, there are a few that are very important, and understanding those would certainly improve your confidence to face questions from this chapter, which is why we are doing a session anyway on this chapter. Right, guys? So let's get started as always with a positive quote. So here it is. Whatever you do, always give your 100% unless you are donating blood. Do you know what that means? Yes. Okay, think about it and let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. Okay, unless you are donating blood, whatever you do, always give it 100%. All right, so now let's get started. Okay, environment. What is environment? The complex of physical, chemical, and the living factors, biological factors like climate, soil, living things, so many things that act upon an organism, or we could say an ecological community as a whole, and ultimately determine its form and survival. This is what we call the environment, our surrounding environment. Right? This is how we say, of course, about environment. Everybody knows what it's like. So we don't really need to know a complex definition for it, but it's just here for namesake because the chapter's name is Our Environment. All right, guys? Okay, now next one. Biogeochemical cycles. What is that? Now, we could say a biogeochemical cycle is a substance turnover, or rather cycling of certain substances in nature. What substances are those? Well, it's a pathway by which a chemical substance moves through the biotic and abiotic compartments of the earth. Okay, so through the biotic and abiotic components, a chemical substance would move through. What are the examples for these chemical substances? There is water that we talk about, water cycle, right? How water circulates between the biotic and the abiotic components of the of our planet. So there's the water cycle that we have to know about. Then there's carbon cycle, right? Then there's nitrogen cycle. These are the most important ones and the most commonly understood ones. All right. So yes, there are more as well. For starters, I think these would suffice as good examples. So we could say biogeochemical cycles refer to those pathways or cycles in which a chemical substance circulates between between biotic and abiotic components. How the water cycle, I think, is like very, very interesting. We all know that, right? Where it comes from and where it goes back and how it keeps circulating. This is something really simple when you think of it, and it's very important for us to know as responsible human beings as well, right? Okay, now saprophytes, what are they? Organisms which feed on dead and decaying organic matter. The best examples would be fungi. There are certain bacteria also which are considered to come under the category of saprophytes. So certain plants are also said to be saprophytes, but then generally, most commonly, fungi are the best examples for saprophytes. Saprophytic nutrition, as we call it, right? It's a type of heterotrophic nutrition, right? Okay, now biodegradable. What would that be? Biodegradable substances are those which are capable of being decomposed by microbial action. Right? This is what we mean by biodegradable. So this is why we say that generally these days in supermarkets and all of those places, they say those carry bags, right? They don't generally promote all those plastic carry bags these days because they encourage people, citizens, to bring their own cloth bags from home, preferably cloth bags from home. And if at all there is something that's available, they say this is 100% biodegradable and it's not non-biodegradable plastic. Generally, they say that, right? You would have seen that, those labels which say, I am made of cornstarch and not plastic and all of those, right? So these are biodegradable materials which are capable of being decomposed by bacteria or other living organisms. So examples would be kitchen waste and all of these materials, even paper, anything that's of plant origin or obtained from a living organism and not really synthesized by man, can be categorized as biodegradable. Okay, right. Now comes non-biodegradable. Oh my goodness, just by looking at that image, I'm like, my goodness, I don't know what to say. Non-biodegradable materials would be those which cannot be broken down by the action of living organisms. Plastic is a very good example, right? Plastic is the best and the most dangerous example of non-biodegradable waste. Children, remember, if there's anything that you've been following for the last 1 year or last few months, or you are starting to practice right now to save the environment, I would love to hear that from you. Okay, please put it in the comment section below. There are a few that I have also started doing, switching to a lot of cloth-based items and not using synthetic and plastic in a lot of things, not in everything. I've not been able to eliminate plastic altogether from my life so far, but definitely I think in the last 1 year, my plastic use has come down to a huge extent. Okay, so if there's anything like that that you've been doing, please share those with me. I would love to hear that. Okay, now ecosystem. What is the ecosystem? Well, basically it is the biological community wherein biotic or living things and abiotic or non-living things interact with each other. We call this the ecosystem. Right? So now coming to biotic and abiotic. What does this term relate to? What does this term mean? Biotic would stand for life. So the living things in our ecosystem are what we call biotic factors. So the best examples would be, yes, anything you would like to list out? They would be plants, and then there would be animals, including human beings, of course. I generally don't like saying animals and human beings because actually, when you think of it in the animal kingdom, there is the class Mammalia, and we also come under that, human beings. So I think it's a little technically wrong to say animals and human beings, but when you say animals, including human beings, that's still okay, right? So plants and animals are the best examples of biotic factors. Now coming to abiotic factors, what would these be? Now, physical factors in the ecosystem, such as what could you say? Something that would be necessary for the biotic factors to live on this planet, to survive in the ecosystem. For example, the soil in our nature, temperature is an abiotic factor, and then you can say water. Water is an abiotic factor, maybe sunlight, all of those are examples of abiotic factors, right? Non-living, physical rather than biological factors, not derived from living organisms. So basically coming back to what an ecosystem is, biotic and abiotic factors interact with each other to form our ecosystem. All right. Now, growth. What is this? The process of increasing in physical size. Simplest definition. This is what we call growth. So it's one of the defining features of living organisms. Not everything which can grow can be said to be living, but all living organisms certainly have the ability to grow. There's a huge difference between the two statements that I said. Okay, now natural ecosystem. Now look at that beautiful, wow. I would love to have that image on full screen, to be very honest. Just keep gazing at it for hours and hours. I think that really calms down your mind, just looking at nature like that, right? A natural ecosystem is something that freely occurs in nature without the intervention of mankind. It just exists by itself in nature. Natural, nature's creation. That's what a natural ecosystem is. What about an artificial ecosystem? Artificial ecosystems also, I must tell you, they do make our planet a much better to live in, because this would also include things like botanical gardens and aquariums and all of those, which are so beautifully maintained, right? So not everything artificial is bad. Many artificial things are bad, but artificial ecosystems are still something that we can be proud about, right? Croplands are also examples of artificial ecosystem. They wouldn't be self-sustaining, basically. Without human intervention, they cannot exist. So I will write down examples here. Maybe an aquarium, maybe an agricultural land or a cropland, a botanical garden, like the Lal Bagh Botanical Garden, which I fondly remember from Bangalore days. Okay, now, yes, next comes producers. Okay, so this is again from the chapter Life Processes, but even here in this chapter, you must be familiar with this. Saprophytes, we've seen. What are producers now? These are organisms which can make their own energy through biochemical processes, which are just processes in living things that involve chemical reactions. What would this mean? Simply put, they are organisms which can make their own energy. How do they make their own energy? Most commonly, it's about the green plants, which have the ability to photosynthesize, those autotrophic organisms, or autotrophs in nature, as we call them. They are the examples of producers. They form the first trophic level in a food chain as well, if you remember. Now, coming to consumers. Consumers, what are producers and what are consumers? Even if you did not know the examples for those, I think producer, something that creates. So as far as the chapter Our Environment, or as far as biology is concerned, when I use the word producer, of course, I'm not talking about a movie producer or a television show producer. I'm talking about the ultimate producer of everything that we have in nature. That has to be the green plants, right? Now, consumers, who are the consumers in nature? You, I, and all other organisms which are dependent on the producers for our survival. We consume what they prepare, we consume what they produce. So, we are the examples of consumers, heterotrophic organisms, right? So we could say food chain includes a producer, and then a primary consumer, a secondary consumer, and a tertiary consumer. What are primary, secondary, and tertiary? They would include the herbivores, carnivores, and the omnivores, all of those. Different levels of consumers that would be. And then the decomposers, of course, those organisms which break down the dead remains of living organisms, including microorganisms and some multicellular organisms like earthworm and many others, which we put under the category of detritivores. They, basically, remember, they can decompose, they can break down dead organic matter, right? Okay. Now, they actually, remember, decomposers help in cleaning up our ecosystem, because if not for decomposers, our planets would be filled with a lot of dead bodies, right? Okay. Now, organic. Wow, look at that, organic fresh produce. What does this mean? Relating to or derived from living matter without any chemical additions or anything. Typically, this is what organic would mean. Now, inorganic, not consisting of or deriving from living matter, of course. Typically, generally, this is what we say, right? Inorganic minerals and those organic elements and all of those things. So inorganic's literal meaning would be this: not derived from living matter, any of those chemical minerals and all of those. Now, what are herbivores? I told you there are different levels of consumers. Herbivores would be animals which feed on plants. Wow, look at that beautiful koala bear. And not just these, our very own cows, goats, sheep, deer are all examples of herbivores. We can also put them under the category of primary consumers. Okay, right. Now, carnivores, animals which feed on flesh. So, obviously, like lions and tigers, oh my goodness, look at that lion's expression. Really, really scary to look at that. We can call them secondary consumers because they feed on the primary consumers, or the herbivores, generally meat eating animals. Now, coming to omnivores. we can say humans also belong to this category. Tertiary consumers. Tertiary consumers or omnivores, which have the ability to feed on both um, plant and animal matter, right? Plant-based food is also fine. If it's meat or animal-based food, that's also fine. So generally, there are many animals that are omnivores. Human beings are also a very good example, right? Now coming to parasites, parasitic mode of nutrition. Parasites are those organisms which live on or in a living organism, a living host, to derive nutrients. For example, what can you think of? Maybe tapeworm. Yes, tapeworm is a very good example of a parasite because it grows internally. There are many examples of flatworms and roundworms which also come under the category of being parasitic because they can grow on or inside a host organism to derive nutrition. Right? There would also be others like external ectoparasites, as we call them, like mosquitoes, for example, are examples of external or ectoparasites. These are endoparasites and these are ectoparasites because they don't go inside, but rather they just stay outside your body, just suck on your blood, and that's it. They just go off, right? Yes. Now, okay, something super important, children, that I have to be telling you at this point of time. Well, I understand that for all of you, generally, I think this being a CBSE 10 session, for most of you, you would be focusing on your board exams, which are coming up very soon, within just a little more than a month remaining, right? Apart from that, now till your board exams, also, you will continue to have our support. And even after that, there will be a lot of support from Vedantu's end. So, those of you who are going from ninth to 10th this year, right now, if you are in ninth grade and you are going to 10th to be appearing for board exams 2022, even then, I have some news for you. Right, children? Now, remember, apart from YouTube, Vedantu has got unlimited live classes with a lot of fun and high level quizzes. So these are, of course, purely online classes, but those in which you really get that feel of an offline class as well. That too, all sitting in the comfort of your house or wherever you are. And you can compete with students across the world. So I personally think this like really boosts your confidence when you are in a group and when you have the spirit of healthy competition. You really know where you are, what you are good at, what you are not so good at, so that you can work on it accordingly. And of course, we are also here to guide you on that. Now, one interesting feature that we have on our platform, children, is that replays. If at all you miss any session while it's happening live, you can still watch the replay of it. And the interesting thing is, replay is also going to be interactive because quizzes and leaderboards are going to be just like any other live session. That's an amazing feature, right? Well, I personally think that's a very amazing feature. And now, premium downloadable content with handwritten notes of your master teachers. Of course, even on the YouTube sessions, we do give you that. And on these Vedantu's platform classes as well, we wouldn't stop giving you the handwritten notes. All of those will be available to you in a downloadable format. Now, what about doubts? Many children, this is what they ask, right? Ma'am, what would happen? Because our school has also been doing online sessions in the last 1 year. We have had several unanswered, unsolved doubts. What do we do about it? Children, forget about all that. Don't worry too much. We've got a mechanism for everything to solve all your academic problems. So in-class doubt solving will also happen. Outside class doubt solving will also happen because we'll continue to be in touch. Class teachers and master teachers will together work with the children to ensure that all your doubts are answered. And of course, session assignments, chapter assignments, tests and everything will also be there additionally so that you know where you stand. And this is super important, I think. Now, on top of all this, 5,000 plus micro courses and crash courses are going to be available for free, right? For those of you who are registered with Vedantu Pro. Now, less is more as far as the pricing is concerned because many children say that it's very difficult to afford anything which is outside school. But children, trust me on this, not everything that's good has to be expensive. And Vedantu has been working very hard for several years to try and make education as affordable as possible to everyone out there. So I'll tell you more about it. So you can click on the link in the description box below. And remember the coupon code AMBPRO. I think right now when you click on the link, you might not have to enter the coupon code. It might automatically enter it for you. But then follow by clicking on the link. Go through whatever you want to check out, the 1 month subscription, the long-term subscription, and all of that. So for those of you who are looking at session 2021, the pro price is 1500 without any discounts, which is for 1 month subscription. Okay, so I think CBSE 10th graders can be very, very peaceful here because 4 of your 5 major subjects are going to be covered here. English, social, science, and maths. Everything is covered. Now, upon applying the coupon code AMBPRO, it gets reduced to 1200 for every subject together. Okay, it's not per subject, which is why I'm telling you it's very, very affordable. Now, for a slightly longer term subscription, also the prices are mentioned here, but that's all right. If you don't want to have a look at it, that's completely all right. Now, focus on the 1 month subscription because this is what will give you an actual feel, because you might not have experienced it so far. So why unnecessarily go for the longer term subscription? We do completely understand that. But those of you who want to be tension free for slightly longer, definitely go on for that. But rest of you who just think that it's fine, 1 month, and after that I can renew it, go for the 1 month subscription. That's it. Now, in a month's subscription, how many live sessions do you think you will have? You will be able to access approximately 200 live sessions. Okay, if used correctly, that is. So divide the total price, which is 1200, by 200, which is the number of sessions, so that you get the per class price. And how much is that? Rupees 6 per session. Rupees 6 per session, in which you get everything. You get personalized personal interaction. You can interact with your teachers. Your class teachers will also be there to solve all your doubts. You get the assignments. You get all the handwritten notes. The replay is going to be available to you. Quizzes will be there. Leaderboards are going to be there. Such fun-filled sessions. And for that one full session, it's just rupees 6 per session. For the longer term subscription, it's slightly less. It's going to be 5 per session. And that's about it. So children, I will also tell you what exactly the platform would look like, right? Because you might be interested in knowing that. So yes, here it is. Once you are registered as a student, children, this is what you will see. Okay, now here what you see are all my past sessions, my upcoming and my past sessions I will be able to see, which is why everywhere you see my name under the tutor's name, right? So some of my CBSE 10 sessions which are here, and the actual date and the time at which it happened will also be there. The replay, if you want to have a look at it, get notes wherein you can click and download the content over there. Everything, the CBSE 9 sessions which I've been doing, and a lot of ICSE sessions, so many others which I've been doing. And click on the replay, you will be able to have a look at everything, including the doubts which were asked, how many doubts were asked in the class, everything you can have a look at over there, right guys? So that will give you a very good idea, even if you happened to miss one of the sessions by chance, right children? So this is the speciality of a live session at Vedantu, because as I told you, it's still going to give you only the feel, or rather the golden feel of an offline classroom as well. Okay, now for those of you who wish to look at the next academic year, those of you who are going from 9th to 10th this year, this is for you. 2022 board exams. This is the pro price, which it's available at 3,300 per month, that is. All right, without any discounts, but apply the coupon code AMBPRO. As I told you, click on the link in the description box below. And even if you forget the coupon code, that's all right. I think it'll automatically be taken care of right now. If there's any trouble, get in touch. All right, guys? Yes. So that reduces it to 2,640 per month. So again, this is for all your 4 core subjects: English, social, science, and maths. All right. So for the full academic year, 2021-22 academic year plan. It's going to be 38,880 without discounts, and it's going to be 31,104. Well, I know that the five figure looks like it's a lot, but remember it's for one full year, which means the per session cost is only going to be rupees 12.96. 12.96 per session for those of you who are going from 9th to 10th right now for the next academic year, and 13.2 per session for those of you going from 9th to 10th and subscribing only for 1 month right now. All right, guys, there's a very small difference. So it's completely up to you to decide which one you want. Maybe try it out for a few months and then make your decision over there. That's completely up to you. But my only suggestion is, children, do not miss out on this opportunity because it's available at a very good price right now, and offers might or might not be open all the time. So make use of it while it's still open. Okay. So of course, it's less than your favorite snack packets. Can it get any better? Right, children? Okay. Oh, one more thing I wanted to tell you guys. Those of you who are in CBSE Class 10 this year, you can also check out Vedantu's website for the JEE NEET registrations. Okay, so some of those links might also be available in the description box below, but just in case it's not, I'm just telling you to be aware of it for the 2-year coaching. Those of you who are JEE and NEET aspirants, definitely check it out. All right, guys. Yes. Now coming back to our environment. Food chain. What is the food chain? Food chain can be described as a linear network of links in a what would you say, a linear network of links in a food web, starting from producer organisms and ending at apex predator species or decomposer species. So we can say that it's a linear network of different trophic levels. Food chain. For example, producers form one trophic level, herbivores form another trophic level, carnivores form another trophic level, and so on. All of them continuously together form a food chain. A food web would be an interlocking and interdependent set of food chains, wherein one organism likes to feed on many other varieties and available in nature, and some organisms may get eaten by many different other organisms in nature, right? These form a food web, like the example you see here on the screen. Okay, right. So what are trophic levels? Basically, we can say each level among the many hierarchical levels in a food chain, we can call them a trophic level. So examples would be producers, herbivores, carnivores, and apex predators. All of those are examples of trophic levels. Always the first trophic level would be a producer, would be a green plant typically. Okay, and then it would be herbivores followed by carnivores, omnivores, and so on. Right, guys? Okay, so what are autotrophs? The magical producers, organisms which can carry out photosynthesis and prepare their own food from simple inorganic substances in nature. These are autotrophs, and the mode of nutrition is autotrophic mode of nutrition. Now, heterotrophs would be organisms which are simply called consumers, which depend upon other organisms for their food, depend upon autotrophs directly or indirectly for their nutritional needs. These are heterotrophs. Now, another complex term in this chapter is biomagnification, the process whereby concentration of a toxin, say for example pesticides, gets multiplied manyfold with every subsequent trophic level. This is biomagnification, bio enlargement or biomagnification. Right? So remember the DDT example. I think I must have told you this while I was teaching you the concept of biomagnification. Go back to our Umang playlist and have a look at those in case you have lost touch with those. Okay. So biomagnification, this would be the definition. Now, ozone layer. What is the ozone layer? We can say it's the Earth's natural sunscreen. It's a part of the stratosphere, found as part of the atmosphere, and it's made up of certain colorless, unstable, toxic gases with a pungent odor, right? How is it formed? It's formed from oxygen by certain reactions with ultraviolet light, ultraviolet radiation. Right, guys? So the chemical formula for ozone, always keep in mind, it's O3. Okay, O3 stands for ozone. Why is it required? It protects us from the sun's harmful effects. So the Earth's natural sunscreen, as I like to call it. Okay, the natural sunscreen. Okay, now next one, chlorofluorocarbons, which we abbreviate as CFCs. They are chemical substances which contain carbon, chlorine, and fluorine. And what do? They are the major cause of something. What is it? Major cause of ozone depletion. And these are substances which we would find in a lot of appliances like refrigerators and air conditioners, which get released into the atmosphere by the use of those. Okay, so that's about it. I'll remind you once again about clicking on the link in the description box below. Children, just click on it and check it out. Check out all the details. You will understand what I'm talking about. Right, guys? Okay, that's about it from my side, children. Click on the like button if you have found this useful and share it with all your friends, because sharing is caring. So especially with all your CBSE 10 friends, please do share the link of this session and stay subscribed, because in the days and weeks to come as well, we will continue giving you a lot of interesting and engaging content so that you can face your exams with much better confidence than before. All right, so that's about it from my side. Stay happy and stay healthy until we meet again. And this is Ambika signing off. Bye bye, children.